Sharma, editor Newsband, daily English newspaper of Navi Mumbai. Today we have with us a young ballerina, Apeksha Bhattacharya, who's trying very hard to promote ballet in India. She is the director and founder of Indian Academy of Russian Ballet. She has received extensive training in ballet from Finland, London, Croatia, and also Budapest. She was also the ambassador of Indian ambassador at Russian Rome Festival that was held in Italy. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Apeksha. Hi, Apeksha.
Hi, Varda. How are you?
Very nice, very fine. Thank you. Apeksha, of all the dance forms, ballet is something which is really not very popular in India. So why did you opt for ballet?
Okay, so Varda, about me, I come from a Bengali background, all right? So art and culture was always a part of our family life. And I have gone the traditional way, okay? I have taken part in folk dance classes. I have taken part in Kathak classes. I've been to Shamak Davar classes. I've done it all. But I don't know, I think ballet somehow found me when I was about 20 years old, around ending my college. Pretty late, and I was diagnosed with PCOD, which is now a very common lifestyle disease. And that is the time when I found ballet. And I keep telling everybody, and that's how ballet saved me. And today, ballet is, I think, the most important part of my life now.
And so at that time, I think even today, there are very comparatively lesser academies to train ballet. So from where did you learn from where did you get your formal training and how challenging was that?
Varda, I think the biggest challenge, so I decided that I need to do ballet. That's something that completely changed my perspective on life, on fitness, on discipline in life. But you know what the problem was? The challenge is now, where do I find myself a ballet teacher? How many ballet institutes do we know? Okay, chalo, we are in Mumbai. So there are a few schools here and there, but not so professional. I'm talking 10 years, 11 years back then. And out of Mumbai, so there was no chance in the other smaller cities, right? So my biggest challenge was, where should I go to get my ballet training? I started researching online, and I knew that I wanted to learn Russian ballet, which is one of the formats in ballet. I started applying to about 20 different workshops and master classes and intensives and all sorts of courses that happens abroad. And out of 20, I got selected out of 5 or 6 of them, and I chose about 4. So 2015, I went around and I went to Finland first, then to Croatia, Budapest, and my last stop was Russia, because I was very determined to learn the Russian part of ballet. So that's where I have trained from, primarily from Russia. And every year, I mean, now for the COVID, I cannot, but every year since then, I make a trip abroad. In 2017 or 2018, I was in New York with the Bolshoi Academy. So every year, I make a trip abroad to study and learn further and update myself and keep continuing with my professional part of the ballet.
Tell me, Apeksha, since the time you started till date, has there been any improvement with the terms of training academies, or to even now the children have to go abroad to get the training?
Varda, absolutely yes, there has been an improvement. I see this because I stay in Mumbai and I see like a blush of academies coming over. Maybe teaching part-time ballet, maybe teaching basics ballet, even in other metro cities like Delhi and Bangalore and Chennai. But of course, it's very sad that the other B-town cities, they don't really have that exposure yet. I still, sometimes if I tell people that I do ballet, they kind of mistaken it for belly dance still. So I have to be very particular about what I say, but ballet is not regarded as an education in India, sadly. Abroad, it is where you go to a ballet school, graduate, and get a proper degree, which is not the case. Ballet in India is just a hobby. It's just one of the other dance classes you go to. So my wish for India is to get a ballet school, a proper school.
Apeksha, ballet requires you have to stand on tiptoes for a very long duration. So how challenging is this, and how important is physical fitness for ballet?
So, I mean, if you are going to be standing on your tippy toes, you can totally understand how fit and narrow you must be. But, you know, I say this to everybody who asks me this. Ballet is more of a mental discipline than a physical discipline. It is very easy for us to, you know, become physically fit, but to mentally train these young kids to stand on your toes, even though when you know it's bruising, it's hurting, and sometimes you have to go on for hours of training and practice. It requires a lot of determination, a lot of discipline, and the only way you can do it is if you make up your mind that I need to. It's just like an athlete who trains himself or herself, right? So you just have to be mentally very, very wanting to do this, to go through the entire process. Like, for example, right now I'm doing a course about physical anatomy of my feet through New Zealand, online, of course, because due to COVID. And that's what I'm studying these days, the importance of how physically you need to be fit, but also mentally, how to stay disciplined and determined. And trust me, to speak this to a 5-year-old or to a 10-year-old is it's a magical job, I think, to turn a 5-year-old into someone who's very passionate but yet disciplined to go through that way. I think it requires a lot of strength.
What, in your opinion, is the right age to start practicing ballet?
Well, in the ideal world, everybody says so, that around 5 years or 6 years of age is when you should, ideally, if you want to become a professional. But in my world, I don't say that. I was 20 when I started ballet.
Yeah.
And it did not stop me. And you know what? Ballet is for everyone. You don't have to become a professional. It's just how beautifully it disciplines your mind. You need to become a go-getter. It's so difficult standing on those point shoes. The pain and the endurance, it tests you, and still going there out on stage and smiling for the audience. It completely requires patience and discipline. And to have that in your life, I think it's just so beautiful. So you don't need patience and discipline only for a 5-year-old, right? You can be 50 and do ballet and have that discipline for yourself. So I think ballet is for everyone, all body types, all age groups.
Can you please tell us about your academy? Because we are quite inquisitive to know what classes or what type of classes do you offer, and what more about it?
So the name of my academy is Indian Academy of Russian Ballet. So you might have understood by now that my expertise is in the Russian form of ballet. And that is how we train our kids. Our books are meant only for Russian ballet. We train right from the little ones, which are the babies who are at about 4 and 5 years of age, they begin, until about the other grades. So primarily mine is less of a hobby academy and more of a professional academy, where you go through examinations, just like how you go to a school. in class 1 and class 2. That's like how you go in for examinations with my academy. And yes, the other side of the academy is we competitive train our students to go outside of India, to compete, to train, to see that world of ballet, that professional world of ballet. And a lot of our students have been training abroad because they've received scholarships to so many different academies and countries. So that's the other part which I thoroughly enjoy. I enjoy putting India on the world map, you know. We've been to competitions and, oh, you are from India. And it is just so much of fun to say that we are from India and we do ballet there. So yeah.
You have just mentioned that some of your students have gone abroad for global competitions. So how do these students fare vis-a-vis the other participants?
I will be totally honest with you, Vardha. We do not have the facilities and training. They must be 16 or 17 times more of ballet trained than we are. Okay, they go to ballet school Monday to Saturday, about 5 hours a day. And we do ballet 2 hours a week. You can totally compare that. It's nowhere in comparison. But mentally, we are starting to change the mindset. So many of us abroad, we do not even know that in India, we study ballet, even though it's hobby. So fairly, on the first year that we went to 2017, we barely made it to the competition as an Indian. But by 2 years down the line, when we were at a ballet competition in Turkey, some of them even started winning. And by the last year before COVID hit, we were in Singapore and one of our students even won a scholarship in one of the competitions, and another student who won a scholarship at the USA. Last year when COVID hit, 2 of my students got a scholarship to attend the Bolshoi, which is from Russia. So it's a gradual step. We're not there yet where we would say we are world class. It'll take us a few years. But slow and slow, our students are making their mark there. But I wish we could give them more.
Yeah, this is now, since, as you said, the COVID has hit, so you must not be having offline classes. So do you have students? I mean, how can the students enroll themselves in your academy, since it's going to be online, I guess?
Absolutely. Because of COVID, I think the most vulnerable target is the kids. And that's why we couldn't have offline anymore. And it's been now the second year now, we are online. But I mean, fate has us because we've been teaching online to every part of India, not just Mumbai. So we have students from Nasik and Pune and Hyderabad and Dubai and England and Japan. So we have students all over the world now because of online. And it's as easy. You just register yourself with our academy, our manager, and she'll just put you through to because what we check when every student comes to us is the ideal batch. We check their background in ballet, their history, if they've done something before or not, and their age group. And we're I in particular, very particular about the age groups we come in with. And they go through only the batches that they must go through at that age. So a 5-year-old will never be put with an 8-year-old, or an 8-year-old will never be put with a 14-year-old. We have grades, just like how you go to a class 1 or class 2. And that's it. From there on, you continue your journey, and we push the best ones for their examinations as well.
Isn't it challenging to be teaching dancing, I mean, ballet, online?
Absolutely. Well, now my thoughts have kind of differed after 2 years of online teaching. I'm comfortable now. It's just like going through maybe like a YouTube video and you're speaking to them and you're interacting. But initially, I didn't even know how to operate Zoom. I did not know how to add participants, and I'm so used to touching bodies and improving them through the touch and through teaching. And to do that online, I was absolutely confused. All my teachers, not just me. And it's wonderful how we've coped up, and with the pandemic, it kind of forced us to cope up.
Yeah.
That's the harsh reality of the pandemic. But I think we're doing beautifully. And more than us, the teachers, it's the students who have been doing it so wonderfully. In fact, this year is going to be the second year of our ballet competition. And this is India's only ballet competition. I had two choices in front of me: stop the competition because it's pandemic, or find another way out. And we found the online way out because this is India's only ballet competition. How can we stop it?
Can
And
you please
this
tell
year
us
also
more
will be
about
online.
this competition? What exactly is this
So
competition?
it So my entire motive of GIBC, which is the Great Indian Ballet Competition, was to put our Indian ballet students in the world map. My my agenda is the deserving winners. They get funds for further training, like cash prizes for further training in their ballet, or they get international scholarships. And these scholarships come from all over the world, starting from the US to Canada to London to South Africa, to Serbia to Russia. We've had scholarships given to different parts of the world. And that's what I want the Indian ballet community to go through, which is exposure to international training if you want to take it up professionally. So it started 4 years back. This year, December, will be the fourth year of GIBC. And last year, 2020 and 2021, this year, the last 2 years have been completely online. And obviously, the previous 2 years, 2018 and 2019, has been offline. And we are supported by beautiful people like the Russian Cultural Center, which is in Pedder Road in Mumbai. We are being supported by different ballet brands all over the world, starting from Russia to European brands. They give giveaways to our students. It's absolutely beautiful because this is one platform in India where the entire ballet community comes together. So you have participants right from Gujarat to South India to Rajasthan to Punjab, Chandigarh to Delhi to even like Northeast, Nagaland, we've had students, obviously Mumbai. So this is one platform that the entire Indian ballet community together, and I do this with a lot of pride.
That's really wonderful. And who are the judges? How are the participants judged?
Right. So I believe in absolute fairness, even though my academy students also participate. But this is different from the academy, and I wanted to keep it very authentic. And that's why all the jury members are only international. We do not want to keep any Indian judges because I want to be fair with every ballet student in India. So this year, the jury member is from Croatia, from London, from the USA, and from Canada. And we're still working on it because the competition is in December 5th, where we announce the winners, and the registrations, they start from the 15th of October. And the most beautiful part is that the last 2 years, last year and this year, the competition has been completely free of cost because of the pandemic. So what I believe, this was a very personal decision because I could see so many students give up on their dreams because of COVID. And I was personally very hit by it. And that is why I decided, and I spoke to my team and said, I absolutely don't care. This has to be free because it needs to give these students a chance to dance again, because they haven't been going to their dance studios or their dance classes, and they need to dance again. And so many cannot afford it because of COVID. And that is why this year also, just like last year, it's free of cost. Till the time COVID keeps on, it'll be free of cost.
Apeksha, you have been traveling extensively abroad and also even in India. It would be very interesting to know, some of the incidents that has left, permanent memory in your mind. So if you can just share some incidents.
Well, I think one of the incidences that I keep talking about, Varda, is, in 2017, we went to Hong Kong. I think this by far is one of the most intriguing memory for me. When we were registering ourselves for the Asian Grand Prix in Hong Kong, well, and we were the first ones to, step out of the Indian continent and go abroad for ballet. It was huge for us, and we started registering somewhere around midnight. That's when around the Hong Kong time it started, the forms started coming in, and you fill in your details, your names and all of it, and you come to a point where you need to fill in your country, whichever country you're from, and you need to select from the list. Starts right like a chronological order from A to Z, and India was just not on the list, and we couldn't register because there was no India on the list. So how do we submit an unfilled form? So we had to kind of wait till next morning, call up Hong Kong and request the management to put India on the list so that we can choose India and then go ahead and submit the form. And that's what we did. We put India on the list and we went ahead. This is a funny incident, but at the same time, I feel it's a very special incident.
Yes.
It gave us a special boost that we just asked them to put India on the list so that we can go on. And from there on, Varda, it's not just my academy. So many academy students out of my academy has been going to these competitions in Asia and abroad, and they have been selecting India as a country. And I absolutely have so much pride when I say that. So that was one of the most beautiful memory. And the other beautiful memories is when my students, they receive international scholarships and they go abroad and then they share their experiences, what they've learned outside, and they come back. I think it's beautiful. So yeah.
What advice would you like to give to the aspiring ballet dancers?
Well, I'm very new to the field, so I don't have much wisdom yet. But, out of my experience, Varda, and be it ballet or be it any passion of yours, my only advice and something that I follow through is to keep going, is to keep believing that you shall do it. Because obviously, like any other expertise in their field, even I have faced downs where I have kind of thought, should I just shut the academy? It's not a popular ballet. Ballet is not popular in India. How can you survive, right? So there has been such negative downfalls sometimes here and there. But the only way you keep going as an artist or as a professional is if you just eliminate all of that and just keep going and keep in mind that dream that you have. If you have that dream instilled in your mind, it will not matter if you're going through a bad year or a bad week. You'll know it'll pass. So keep dreaming.
Thank you so much, Apeksha, for giving us your time. And the viewers request you to please follow all the COVID-19 protocols. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, Apeksha.